Alright. What's up? Hollow Knight, am I right? Hollow Knight, the critically acclaimed exploration Metroidvania extravaganza, developed by John Cherry in 2017. It's incredible that I have never... I've probably mentioned it like once in passing. I've never done a video explicitly on this game, and now that Silksong, you might have heard of it, Silksong has released, and I've played it, and it's very fucking good. Now that that's a thing, I thought now's as great a time as ever to finally cover the game. I know everyone's been waiting for it. You might be wondering, hey Fun, what the fuck is this? Oh, that's a great question. So I was playing Silksong, right? And this video will contain no Silksong spoilers. I will do my best to not bring up Silksong like ever. It doesn't exist. But I was going through Silksong, and there's this one area with a very annoying flying enemy. And if you've played Silksong, that doesn't really narrow it down that much, but I'm just gonna guess that you can tell which area I'm talking about. And that got me thinking about the original game. And, you know, people always complain about Primal Aspids, these fuckers. And I'm thinking, like, why? Why is that? Because, I mean, like, besides their, like, annoying cunts, I know that, but, like, what's the science behind it? And so I got to making a little tier list. This is every, flying enemy in the game, kind of, to my judgment. There are a few stipulations, the main one being I'm not including any bosses. This isn't a boss ranking. That doesn't really feel very fair. Criteria for what counts as a flying enemy in my eyes, just in case someone gets on my ass about it. It's mostly just kind of like vibes based, you know, it's... if it's got wings, and if it's not bound to the ground, like, for its moveset. If it can, like, function okay without a flaw, then usually, like, that's okay for me. So you might notice maybe there's a couple weird picks, but you just gotta trust the process. Also, if an enemy is spawned by... how the fuck do I explain this? If an enemy is spawned by a boss, such as the Vengeflies, they are spawned by the Vengefly King or the Gruzzers, that is perfectly okay. And will also affect their ranking. Which will be very important. Very important. But if there's an enemy that is... if there's an enemy that is grounded and spawns flying enemies, but it itself is not flying, that enemy does not count. I can only think of the husk hives, the hive husks in the hive. That's the only one I can think of, but, you know, it's worth mentioning. Also, no Zo enemies, because I don't want to. And, I guess the only other thing is just, like, you know, this is meant to be a silly thing. It's not meant to be taken too seriously. Generally, I think most of these enemies are fine, like, from a design perspective. I don't have genuine problems with them. I'm just being a little funny, you know? So, without further ado, let's rank these buggers on how annoying they are. As well through the tiers, we have peak for this enemy is cool, it's awesome, I love it. It's genuine peak. We have nice for enemies that I think are nice, and you know, they don't bother me, and I like them all the same. Okay tier is for guys that I think are just okay, they don't bother me, or I don't particularly like them. Well, that sounds a bit mean. I don't particularly care for them, or I don't particularly dislike them either, yeah. Bastardfly tier is, you know, it's your standard Team Cherry Bastardfly enemy. You know, those little guys who are just a little bit annoying. You know the ones, you know, that's probably gonna be the most common tier if I had to guess, but we'll see, we'll see. Awful tier. These are for enemies that are awful. They're just plain awful to deal with. For one reason or another. Diabolical Creature is for enemies that are even more awful to deal with, for one reason or another. And Hell tier, I think, is self-explanatory. So let's not waste any time. Let's get into the first guy, who is the Vengefly. And, you know, I think this is a pretty good basis. Like, this is... you can't get a simpler enemy than this guy. He's the Goomba of Hollow Knight if they were flying. They are not a threat, even when they're spawned in by the Vengefly King, they're still not really a threat at all. So, you know, they're helpful, if anything. You can use them to, like, pogo up to items sometimes. It's pretty cool. So, I think they earn a solid nice tier. That's a good start. The Gruzzer. Again, I'd say they're not quite as helpful as the Vengefly, because they're, like, bouncing randomly on the walls. There is that one room where, that one room in Crossroads where they're, like, flying all about on the walls. And you can, like, drop down and, like, fall into them. So yeah, I guess I've kind of talked myself into it. They're also at the end of the Aspid Mother fight. And it's not really much of a problem. So, you know, this is your standard Bastardfly. They're a little bit annoying when you're trying to drop down that run. But as we'll see, there is worse. It gets worse. That run specifically gets worse. The Aspid Hunter. The Aspid Hunter. The regular version of the Aspid. I think they're fine. I've never had a problem with them. Yeah, they like shoot stuff at you. It's the most easy to dodge projectile in the game though, so really I have no problems with it. They are fine in my eyes. And really, like, same goes for the Aspid Mother. I could see the Aspid Mother actually being a bit rough on your first time. Cause, you know, she keeps spawning those, like, little babies. But once you know, you can just deal with it by... you just whack her a bunch and she dies. That applies to most of the enemies in this game, but, you know... I could see a case for it being a Bastardfly, honestly. The babies... How do I... I'm actually not sure how I want to rank the babies, because they are a part of the Aspid Mother. But on their own, they're not an issue, but I'll rank them alongside, I guess that makes sense. Menderbug, okay. Menderbug, remember, he is a flying enemy. You drop down into his little spot in the Crossroads, and he will fly away if you don't kill him. So I'd say that counts. This guy is just peak. He's just peak. Okay, all of these guys, they have a problem with you for no reason. No reason. And This guy, he's the only one. Well, I guess that's Revik, kind of. No, he sucks. This is the only guy who's just straight chill with you. He's got no beef, no problems whatsoever. He is a hard-working citizen, honest citizen of of Hallownest. He's just doing his job. If anything, you're the one making life hard for him, because to even spawn him, you have to break the sign in Crossroads. A bunch. So, you know, maybe just leave the guy be. In fact, even to get his Hunter's Journal entry in the first place, you have to kill him for no reason. It's fucked. It's fucked, I tell you. So, you know, guy does not deserve anything. He deserves no pain in the world. He is absolute peak. Next is the Mossfly. The Mossfly. This is a Queen's Garden enemy. Even you can't really tell because it's like really small for portrait, but this is the flying one. And you know, I think that they're cute guys. They're cute guys. I'll say it. They're really cute guys. You know what? No, I'll put them in peak. I'll put them in peak, and might be a bit hypocritical for the other placements that I might put, but I don't think I've ever had a problem with them. Like, they're just floating around, they're never really in the way, they float towards you pretty passively. You can also, like, kill them for free soul, that's helpful. You know, and they're cute, so another banger enemy. Squit. Squit. Sounds like an insult. This is the guy who charges at you. I don't mind him, cause I mean, like, with the fucking this guy who's in the Colosseum, he is a lot more annoying, but this guy has practically no health, so he's basically a non-issue. In my eyes, he's not that much of a problem. I would put him in Bastardfly tier, but something to consider, he can actually help you during a speedrun, if I'm correct. You can use him to skip most of Green Path by going to the place that you normally need dash to get and just pogo off him, and like, you skip most of the area. I'm not a speedrunner, but I can tell that is very helpful if you don't want to do the weird as fuck fireball skip. I never figured out how to do that. So, you know, I wouldn't say he's nice, but he's okay. He's okay. I'd say that's enough justification. The Obble, who appears in like 2 rooms in Green Path. Again, the Colosseum version is worse, but this guy is he's just a guy. Mostly he's like floating around way out of your reach, so he's just like not a problem. The projectiles aren't really a problem. In the vertical room, maybe he's a bit more troublesome. So I guess he would qualify for Bastardfly if we're going on the same logics like Gruzzer, but it's a tenuous Bastardfly, you know. This what is this? Maskfly. This is the birds that like fly away from you and do nothing. I mean, like, they are flying enemies. They are flying enemies. So they qualify. I would even say that I don't think they've earned peak status, to be honest. They didn't really put in the legwork, unless you're doing... What's that? Okay, tangent time. What's that, like... I don't remember if it was like low percent that you have to like farm the birds for hours to get enough essence from the random essence drops to like avoid killing bosses for essence. It's something like that. I guess if you're doing that, then they're helpful. I value my sanity though, so I would not... If anything, that's a point against them. But it is the most convenient way to do that, I suppose. So I'll just leave it be. Duranda, I think this guy is called. This is the flying shell enemy that appears on the way to Shio's house. And they are helpful, actually, because you can pogo off of them. And without them, it would actually be a bit harder. But also, they're in the way sometimes, and like if you're trying to like crystal dash over, then it's a bit of a thing. So I would say they're okay, probably. That seems fair. Aluba. What the fuck do you want from me? It's fucking Aluba. It appears in one room, by the lake, and is like, you can't even reach it if you want to kill it. It's just there. Like, again, you haven't earned the cute status that Mossfly had. Well, that's a bit unfair. They're a little cute, I guess. But, yeah. They are harmless, and that's what matters to me. Things that aren't harmless, though, is the charged Lumafly. And before you get on my ass and be like, oh, this is an obstacle. It's an obstacle, it's not an enemy. Read the Hunter's Journal, idiot. It has an entry. And they're clearly they're a bunch of guys flying around. You know, like, it's a thing, it's a living thing. It's a bunch of living guys, even. So, like, it's an enemy. And it's flying. And it sucks. Like, not... Well, it kinda... Yeah. No, it sucks. It sucks. They only appear, like, a couple times, really, but in the teacher's archives, mainly, they're kind of... You have to put in a tiny bit of thought to, like, space yourself out apart from them. And I don't like putting in a tiny bit of thought, so this might be our first awful tier, because there are worse enemies. There are worse, like, obstacles. If they showed up more often, then I would probably, like, have more of a problem with it than... Yeah, but, like, as it is, I think it's not as bad as it could be. But I'll probably do these together. Uoma and Ooma are the jellyfish enemies in Fog Canyon. Hear me out. These guys kind of fucking suck. Because Fog Canyon is a very narrow area. You're dropping down it most of the time. And these fuckers are in the way. But there's a very clear difference between the two. Uoma is helpful, kind of. You're gonna like hit them sometimes, but like you can also hit them safely for soul for when you keep getting hit trying to go down Fog Canyon. And they also come in groups sometimes, so that's a lot of helpful soul to heal. So, well, they are still kind of bastards though, but I would argue they have their uses. more than they don't have their uses. Does that make that makes sense? That makes sense to me. This guy though, this guy, this guy is huge. He takes up so much space. He like floats up and down kind of awkwardly, and if you hit him, he sends out an explosion that like tracks you. When I was first playing this game, I struggled so bad with Fog Canyon. It's like such a short area, and you just pass through it once to get to Fungal Base. And for some reason, just these guys just could not. And also, another thing, I know I said I wasn't talking about bosses. I'm not talking about the boss itself. I am talking about Umu, specifically in Godhome, where you don't have a Quibble. So you have to kill Umu by knocking the jellyfish into him. Which is just... that's not me hating the boss, that's me hating the method of hurting the boss, which is these guys. And it took me so long to like even get a handle on that I think this guy has more than earned the diabolical creature tagline. There is worse, but I don't like them. I do like these guys though. This is Fungling from the Fungal Waste. This is just a harmless little guy that he's instant peak. Instant peak. It's basically just another Mossfly. He just like floats around. He can't even like he has got his eyes open. I think they're like canonically blind, or they haven't like developed sight yet. I don't remember, but they're just little guys to make like funny little noises. And that's all you need. You don't need all of this bloodshed and murder. But these guys, we will get to these guys in due time. But you know, harmless guy. I love him. This guy is slightly less harmless because he spits at you. What's his name? It's the Fungoon. But I also like him because he's a very funny enemy. So he's also going in peak. Because like he's a big old guy and he's floating around and he like spits at you and he goes like whoa, you know. It's funny. And he's not really like that threatening. I've never really gotten hit by them like much at all. Skill issue I suppose. But you know. He's just a guy. I like him. Mantis Youth. This is another one of those Fumbo doing her first playthrough and getting her ass handed to her by the Mantis tribe. Yeah, these guys are a bit annoying. They're pretty annoying. Like they like float just out of reach all of the time. And then they like do lunges at you. So if you're trying to like, get them off your tail, it is annoying. And also, they're annoying to pogo. If you need to pogo them for the stuff, I wouldn't... I know Mantis Claw is like right there, but you know, if you need to pogo them, if you're doing like a randomizer run or something, which I do sometimes, then if you need to pogo them to get to a high place, they're a bunch of cunts. And they just don't cooperate at all. So I think they're awful. I think they're awful. I think this is the winged sentry and that is the land sentry. It's very hard to tell. These are the guys in City of Tears. I think they're okay. I would say the sword guy, which is this one, is a bit less of a pain than the lance guy, because he like throws his weapon at you, but like it's not really like that. It's negligible, to be honest. It's a pretty predictable projectile, you know. And you go back to City of Tears so many times anyway that you kind of... Well, I guess there is that one enemy arena that's a bit of a pain. Like, I know there's other enemies in there as well, but like, I guess if I were to consider that one, they might qualify for Bastard Flies. You know what, sure. Yeah. And speaking of bastards, it's the Folly from the Soul Sanctum. These guys are interesting, because they die in like one hit, or like a couple hits I think, but they keep respawning in the room that they spawn in. And it's like, kind of annoying, honestly, because you never know if you've killed them all, and like, usually you haven't. I don't know if you even can, because they might just like, because it's like a tutorial for Desolate Dive, right, so they might just like spawn infinitely. Are they that threatening? No. They're also a little creepy as well, I don't really like them. So, they're... Oh wait, I just remembered, the fucking... whatever charm it was Soul something in that like upper room. There's like a million of these guys that spawn in when you're like picking it up, and they chase after you, and it sucks. So yeah, another Bastard Fly to add to the list. The Soul Twister. I'd imagine some people might rank this guy lower. I don't think he's that bad. Well, he does teleport around. That's the main thing. He teleports around. The projectiles, I think are fine, but he teleports around, and you don't know where he's gonna go. That's the thing. So he is a bit of a bastard. He is a bit of a bastard, but there's worse. The worst in question is the Bellfly. We all love the Bellfly. You know, they hang on the ceiling, and then they scream at you, and then they dive at you, and then they deal 2 masks of damage. And they have a lot of fun with these guys, specifically in the Coliseum. There's a bunch of waves that's just like, oh, let's spawn in 50 of these guys, and you have to dodge them all. That's fun. So they're awful at the very least, but I mean, are they though? Because they're kind of... Once you've been dealing with them for a while, they become kind of like fun almost. I don't know if this is Stockholm Syndrome kicking in after hundreds of hours of playing this game. It could very well just be that, but I think there's some kind of like fun thing to them, because they can kill other enemies as well in like specific situations, which is pretty cool. So like, they suck, but I don't hate them, if that makes sense. I love this guy. It's the Whomp. It's the Whomp. It's Whomp from the Royal Waterways. This guy is just really funny. He's like, they're not really that threatening in my opinion. They just kind of float around, and they become big, and you can still just kind of like whack them, so it's whatever. I always thought it was funny actually. There's an arena of these guys in like the far western room where Cornifer is, and it's playing this like intense action music while you're killing like 10 of these guys just floating around the room. It's just like really awkward. It's not really difficult at all, it's just like funny. I like it. This guy is this guy peak? Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't live with myself if I didn't put this guy in peak. Yeah. Flukefly. I fucking hate these guys. I hate them. I hate them. I really hate them. I really hate them. First Offender. They're kind of just icky. They're like really icky. They've got a bunch of like sharp teeth and they chase at you and it's really scary. They're relatively weak, but if you have like a weaker nail, then you can't really deal with them like very easily. If you can't deal with them in one hit, then they become a bit of a pain. And also, let's not forget the elephant in the room. They are spawned by Flukemon, which my experience with Flukemon, honestly, is she's a pretty easy boss. She's either like the easiest boss ever, or she's a pain for no reason. Well, not for no reason. I know the reason is because she spawns in a million of these fucks without like slowing down, and it's just like overwhelming and you die. Because the solution really is to just like use Howling Wraiths and kill her in 3 seconds. I'm aware of that now, but if this was like a couple years ago maybe, then I would... I'm tempted to put them in hell, honestly. I don't think I'm gonna... No, I won't. Will I? No. Because there are enemies that I hate more. Not this guy though. This is... I'm sure you've been staring at this for the whole video, because it's like different from all the others. It's not the same formatting. It is the top half of Flukemon. Specifically the top half, not the bottom half, the top half. Genuinely, if I was ranking the bottom half, I would rank it lower, because it takes a few seconds to wake up the bottom half, and I find that annoying. But the top half actually wakes up immediately. You kill the Flukemon, and then this guy, he wakes up and he's like, ah, you know, and he starts biting you. He's not like too bad to deal with, but then you have to wait for the bottom half to wake up, and then he starts chasing you after you as well. So genuinely, I think these guys are kind of fine. And if you don't want to deal with them, you can just like walk around the Flukemons kind of easily most of the time. Oh shit, in my head I wasn't actually sure when this guy was coming. This is the Crystal Hunter. This is my least favourite enemy in the game. I hate this guy straight to hell. I hate this guy more than Primal Aspid, surprisingly. Which is probably not the most common opinion, but hear me out. They're flying around, and they shoot these crystal projectiles at you, and they turn to spikes when they land. And it's like, whatever, you can just hit them away, right? Well, no, because when you're looking at this guy, the telegraph for when he shoots at you is so subtle that it basically might as well just be random. I don't know if that's just me. I don't even know if there is a telegraph, to be honest. I think there is, maybe, but it's just not obvious when he's going to be doing stuff. And the fact that they're relatively common in Crystal Peak, as much as I love Crystal Peak, they are relatively common there. And they're just like not fun to deal with ever. So you could argue about like, you know, Primal Aspid we'll get to it, but like, you know, this guy doesn't show up in the Colosseums. Fuck you, this is my video, and I really hate this guy. Look at him, with his face and his awful smile. He's smiling, do you see that? He's smiling, because he knows how much pain he's going to cause you. It's awful. It's awful. Straight to hell. This might honestly be another hell, to be honest. This is the Furious Vengefly. Me when I'm I just want to get through the crossroads, and these guys are in every room, and they are really big, and they like chase you from really far away, and they screech at you, and they're like rah, 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 rah. And then they take a bunch of hits. They're really, really durable, and also when you kill them, they explode, as does every enemy in Infected Crossroads. They are just unpleasant. And I think, do they... No, they don't appear in the Colosseum. These guys do. But they don't. But all the same, they're just like not nice. There's just a bunch of rooms where they're just in the way, and you have to stop and you have to deal with them. It's like, I don't like you. I don't like you one bit. So you're in hell. The Volatile Gruzzer is a bit less of a pain, in my opinion, because they're only in one room. They're in the same room that the regular Gruzzers are in. In that long, chasm thing. The problem is, in that one room, they are the biggest pain in the ass, because they are so RNG. Oh my god. Let's say you're at the bottom of that room, and there's these platforms, right, but there's these gaps in between the platforms, and right at the top is all of these guys flying around, and they're dropping these infection blobs down below, and just, when you're climbing up, you can just get sniped by them at any point. And like you can't really do much about it most of the time, to be honest. You just kind of have to get lucky if you're climbing through. And they appear in Colosseum as well, I think, but they're not that bad, to be honest. Because it's a wide space, but you know, in that one of them specifically, I think they earn Diabolical Creature. They just don't earn my personal hatred like these two do. Personal hatred, though, the Carver Hatcher appears in the Failed Tramway in Deepnest, and this might be the ickiest enemy in the game for me. I don't know why. It's the same with the fluke enemies. The way they have like so many teeth, and they're just like flying around, and they're just like there in like such an like open area, but there's a bunch, and it's hard to like ignore them. I guess you can kind of ignore them, but I don't like to, because they really like creep me out. I don't know why out of everything in Deepnest it's them, but that's just the way it is, so I just like to get tram pass and be on my way as soon as possible. They're only in that one section, thankfully. But they aren't diabolical gameplay-wise. I don't like them personally, so I would say they're awful. But that's just like more of my opinion, because the actual Garpedes are arguably way more of a pain than the Hatcher is. So, did I say Garpede? I mean, I don't fucking remember what they're called. Carvers. Carver, I think. Yeah. Yeah, the Dirt Carver. What is Garpede? Okay, hear me out. You might think this isn't a flying enemy at all. It's not a flying enemy. It's a burrowing enemy that burrows through the tunnels of Deepnest. No. This is flying because there's this one room in like the bottom like east section that has a mass shard, and you have to like pogo off of this guy the whole time, and clearly he's flying. And there's another one that like clearly flies up really slowly, and you have to poke on that as well. So I don't know how they do it. They're also in Colosseum. I don't know how they do it. They fly, and that's just how the laws of nature work. I guess they're awful, but like, I don't know. I've never minded them too much, but like on the virtue of they are half the reason why Deep Nest is as bad as it is. I guess that is justification of putting them in awful. Speaking of half the reason as to why Deep Nest is as bad as it is, the little weaver. This is. I don't like you. I don't like you at all. Because you're just trying to get through Deep Nest, and they just show up. They just pop out of the foreground, and then they like screech at you. And like, I'm not even arachnophobic, I don't really mind spiders that much. Unless they're like really big ones. Like, they just like, I just don't like them. Because you're just trying to like get through Deep Nest. You don't want to be there already. They're not the worst enemy in Deep Nest. Hell no, that prize easily goes to the Devour. This is not their video though. But, so, these guys will have to carry the torch. And, you know, maybe this is a bit harsh. Yeah, I'll put them in Waterfall. If they showed up in like the whole area, then I would put them there. But it's just like the western section. There's like a couple of big ones. Yeah, the infected balloon. This is a guy. That's a guy. He shows up in like a couple of runs in the Ancient Basin, but what I'm more concerned about is they spawn infinitely in the Lost Kin fight, and makes healing virtually impossible in that fight. Which, on my first time, that very much, I hated that. Because, you know, you stagger the boss, and they fall down for a bit, and you're like, okay, now's my chance to heal. No, you can't, because there's this guy who's just he's just floating towards you, and you have to stop, you have to get up, you have to hit him, and he dies, and by the time you've done that, the boss is back up, and you haven't healed at all. So you have to, like, be on top of it constantly, as well as dealing with the boss itself, which is, you know, decently difficult. So, yeah, I'd say they're diabolical. They didn't bother me as much these days, because I can get through that fight with a lot less trouble now, but, you know, the anguish that these guys caused me, as well as like a lot of other people I'm sure, back in the day, is just, that's enough, I'd say. Boofly. The calm before the storm. This is like the last enemy on this list that's kind of nice. Because they just kind of like float about, and they're not really a threat at all. I guess if you're trying to drop through the vertical room in Kingdom's Edge, then like sure, they can get in the way of it. But like, they don't even have much health. They're just kind of there. So, you know what? I'll put them in nice. Perhaps controversially, but I'll put them in nice, only because I don't think any of these guys are gonna go in nice. So, you know, it is really not looking good. Especially with the Primal Aspid. The Primal Aspid, folks, here we go. It's the big one. Everyone hates this guy. Everyone hates this guy. No one likes him. Everyone hates him. And I would say for good reason. They have it all. They're pretty much everywhere in Kingdom's Edge. They fly away from you, they're hard to hit. When you do try and hit them with your nail, then they spit at you, and it's like a volley of 3, so it's like hard to dodge if you're up close. So you have to be far away, or like further away to dodge it more comfortably, but then you're not in hitting range. So yeah, I can see why this guy has a bit of a reputation. And also, they're in Colosseum, like everyone. They're in all of them. Because there just hasn't been enough of them. So yeah, in terms of like quantity alone, that is more than deserving of hell tier. Still not my personal least favourite, that's still this guy. I fucking hate him, but, you know, they're, you know, I don't even have to say anything. You know, you just know. Onto the Hiveling. I'm not sure how to feel about this guy, because they're everywhere in the Hive, right? There's a bunch, there's dozens of them in every room. They're not threatening, really. But, okay, here's a few things to consider. Well, here's not a few things, here's one thing to consider. In the Hive Knight fight, he spawns a bunch of these guys. I know they behave differently, but I am gonna consider them the same enemy. Cause, you know, it's the same guy. And the way that fight works is, I do really like the Hive Knight fight for the record, but the way it works is they rain down after he spawns them for like 5-ish seconds, I don't know. But if he does that attack and then you stagger him, he's gonna, it's the same problem with Lost Kin. He's gonna stagger, and he's gonna like fall down, and you're gonna want to heal, but you literally cannot heal, because these guys are still raining down from the ceiling. Which is a bit of a nuisance, I would say. So, maybe they're Bastard Flight, well, no. Well, I would say that thing with the Hive Knight puts them in awful, but like, they're not that bad, you know. Now these guys are way worse. The Hive Soldier. This is the guy who screams at you and turns into a drill and then dies at you. Very fun. You know, here's the thing with the Hive. There's so many enemies in the Hive that rarely are you going to bother, like, actually wanting to kill them, right? Especially when they're, like, flying around, it's just more trouble than it's worth most of the time. So, generally, you're just, like, trying to make your way, you're just trying to rush through the rooms as fast as you can. And these guys and the other guys make that a bit of a pain. And, like, really stressful. I don't remember exactly how many there are, but there's quite a few. So I would say that... Now, I'd say these guys specifically are Bastard Flies, because the Hive Guardian is worse. He's big, he takes a whole bunch of hits, and he deals 2 massive damage, which is just great. You also have to, like, bait one into breaking a breakable wall to get a mask shot in the Hive, which is already kind of weird, because, like, they never really do that elsewhere, but you have to do that, and it's not too bad once you know how to do it, but it's just kind of not, they're just not fun to deal with, and they break the platforms as well. Which I guess that, well, I've just disproven myself there, because, you know, they break the platforms and they break the wall as well, so the fuck am I talking about? But, you know, they're very stressful to deal with, mainly due to their, like, huge size. So, I'd say they're awful. The Mantis Petra is also awful, I would say. The specifically the enemy gauntlets in the Queen's Gardens. I'd say they're the hardest in the game, besides the Colosseum, obviously. Which, by the way, they do show up in Colosseum as well. For some reason, I don't know why. Because it's on the other side of the map. But they just had a whole lot of fun with designing Color 3, and they just put everything in there. Anyway, they are quite annoying. Because the way their boomerang blades spin around is kind of awkward to deal with, really. It's got like a really weird curve to it, and then it like goes back, and it can be quite hard to predict. Sometimes it'll come at you faster than you think it's gonna, but yeah. They are definitely the worst enemy in Queen's Gardens. Again, I say worst as in most annoying, not worst from a design perspective, but that's just how it is. So I'm just gonna leave them here probably. The Armoured Squit. Aren't these the guys that you have to like kill in the wave that you just have no floor? There's no floor. You have to just wall jump off the entire time. That's fun. That's really fun. They're like this guy from Green Path. He's like flying around. He's like, oh, I'm just a little guy. I have like no health. This guy has health. He's got bucket loads of health. So generally gonna be using spells to kill them. They're a pain. I don't know what to tell you. In fact, I would argue, no. Yes, actually, I've talked myself into it. They are a diabolical creature. Just because they are used in a very evil way. Battle Obble. They're really just a beefier Obble, and you can just kind of like whack them about a bunch. There's this one part in Color 2, right before you fight the Obbles, who is not on here, but there's like a whole bunch of waves with like dozens of them flying around, and I feel like I should struggle with that more than I do, but you just kind of like find the right places to cover behind and you just kill them. It's really not that bad, to be honest, and they don't really show up much outside of there, if I remember, so yeah, I'd say they're bastard flies, and that's about it. These guys also join the club of you have to fight them in the wave that has no floor and you have to wall jump off the walls the whole time. They're a bit less of a pain in my opinion because you can just like pogo off of them. The way they like fly up towards you is like slow and you can kind of like bounce off them a bunch to get a bunch of hits in. And their attacks, well, they have one attack. It's not massively threatening, I would argue. So they're still awful because of where they're placed, but like I don't think they're that bad. What's this guy called? The Vault Twister. The Vault Twister is a Colosseum exclusive enemy Even though he's clearly a guy from Soul Sanctum, he's a Colosseum exclusive guy. I don't know what the lore behind that is, but he's just kind of there in Colo 3. And he basically functions like a little mini Umu, and does the same kind of electric attack that hones in on you. And given that he's a lot more predictable than Umu, who only does that one attack, then you can kind of just like run around, and he's not that much of a threat. And he only shows up a couple times anyway, so it's like, eh. He's a Bastardfly, and that's, well, you could argue, honestly, that you wouldn't be expecting it, because he shows up so infrequently, but, you know, he's not that bad. There are far worse foes in the Colosseum. Revik is the ghost in Spirit's Glade. I almost didn't include this guy, because I was like, is he an enemy? He's not. But like, he kind of is. He can hurt you. But he's not a boss either. So, I'd say, for sake of being, you know, complete, I thought I'd include this guy. Even though, like, he's not really a threat. He literally isn't a threat if you just don't attack the ghosts. If you never attack the ghosts, then he never bothers you, is the thing. And what reason do you have to kill the ghosts? Unless you want, like, 20 total essence, maybe. Yeah, for that. I don't know. I guess he's okay. No. Because I haven't really done it, is the thing. I've done it like once, maybe. But like, you don't really have a reason to provoke him. It's an interesting case, because if you do provoke him, then he's annoying. But if you don't, if you just avoid him, then... Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna judge him on the basis that it's gonna be him specifically when he's attacking you. That's gonna be how I judge how annoying he is, and in that case, he's annoying. Quite annoying, even. Because if you want to kill the ghost, if you're going to the Spirit's Glade with the express intent of killing the ghosts, you absolute monster, then yeah, he's annoying as hell. But like, I can't put him any lower than this. Because he wants to be chill. At the end of the day, he wants to be chill. He's a bit like Menderbug, in that sense. So if you provoke him, that's kind of on you. Here we have the Grim Troop enemies. You might not have even remembered these guys, to be honest, and I wouldn't blame you. The Grimkin, Novice, Master, and Nightmare. Possible, I don't know. I don't think this is controversial. It's an opinion. I don't like these guys, like, at all. Because you kind of... Here's my thing. You kind of just have to... By the time you've gone and started the Grim Troop quest, you've probably gone to, well, a good chunk of the areas in the game, unless you do it really early for some reason. And, like, the way it works is that the little guys kind of spawn really close to, like, you can get to them easily. They're close to, like, a stag station or whatever. But the more advanced they go, the more of a pain it gets to reach them and kill them, and also the stronger they get. So, this guy isn't that bad. I'd say this guy is leaning more towards awful, and this guy, I hate this guy. Like, he deals double damage, he's really bulky, he's got a bunch of different attacks. Like, and also, the arenas that you have to fight him in, you have to, like, fight him in that one room in Basin that's just like, here's a few platforms to stand on. And he's like floating around and he's fucking with you. And you're like just trying to like fight, not falling into the worm guys at the bottom. Like, it sucks. Since I've done it a couple times, my advice is to just bait them over to the platform on the right so you actually have some ground to stand on. Also, one of them, this is just turning into a rant now, one of them is in the Hive. For some reason, you have to go to the fucking Hive to kill him. The Hive is like 10 miles away. It's in Nowhereville. Just get the free one in Deep Nest. If you're doing the quest, just get the free one. It's just easier. Wingmold. Wingmold. This is interesting because if not for the enemy existing, the platforming challenges in White Palace and by extension Path of Pain would be impossible, right? So they are helpful. They are probably the most helpful of these guys, even. But because the challenges are designed around them, in a way, are they not inadvertently responsible? No, I'm not gonna try and like... That's Team Cherry being dicks. Okay, that's like... I get that all of these are Team Cherry being dicks, but like, specifically, this guy's purpose in the game is to help you by being a purgable guy. And also you can farm solo of them as well, which is really nice. For just like, you know, not dying. Yeah. The last two, we have the Shade. Not the Shade. This is the Shade. This is the sibling from the Abyss. They float around, and they don't give you any soul because they're void creatures. They're little void fellas. They deal double damage, if I remember. And it's kind of just a pain to heal in the Abyss in general. So, you know, the way they function more as like an endurance kind of test than anything. Because they're not threatening in how they move. It's just that there's a bunch of them, like especially by the lighthouse. So you just kind of have to like you have to like persevere through the Abyss long enough to get what you need and then get out. So I'm not sure. And also they become like friendly. They become friendly when you get the Void Heart. I forgot to mention the Hive enemies become friendly when you get Hive Blood, but by the time you get Hive Blood, you're already done with the Hive, and I guess it's the same with the Abyss, so it doesn't really matter. Honestly, I'm gonna go with my gut and say that they're awful. And finally, we have the Shade, who is not a problem at all if you just don't die. In fact, they're helpful. They're helpful because, you know, Shade skips. You can get to places early by dying intentionally and just like do that, and you can purgo off of them and you can go to places early. There's like some really fucked up ones you can do, sure, that I will never be able to pull off, but you know, they are helpful. They are helpful. And also, like, as an enemy, they don't really stay alive long enough to be threatening at all. That's not really their purpose, because, like, you know, they're meant to hold your stuff when you die. But again, you just don't die, because you're gonna be awesome at the game. So, you know, not really a problem, not really a problem. So I'm gonna keep them in nice tier. And what do you know? What do you know? We're done. God, this is so fucking stupid. Yeah. Closing message is, fuck all of these guys. Not all of these guys. Anything below okay is fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck all of you guys. You suck, and you make the game awful. That's my take. That's my takeaway. Maybe I'll do this with Silksong. I don't know. Silksong has way more enemies. So I feel like I'm sure as hell not gonna run out of stuff to talk about. But it's gonna be like way more, so I don't know. But this is the compendium of annoying flying shits in this game. Yeah, you hate to see them. Okay, the video's over. You can go home now.